Hey, it's Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show, which airs weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO. Hope you are having a great weekend. A lot to talk about on the Monday edition of the Chad Hasty Show, including Donald Trump's foreign policy. What is it exactly? It's real interesting. I want to go through just a few of the headlines when it comes to Trump foreign policy that I saw over the weekend, and there's probably a few more that either I missed or I just kind of skipped over because it's basically the same story. So, okay, here we go. Here are some of the headlines from over the weekend. Nervous State Department workers prepare for major restructuring. Rubio intensifies criticisms over Tillerson, and Tillerson over his Tillerson's Syria strategy. Tillerson, this again, headline from Politico. Tillerson, even China sees what a threat North Korea is to its interest. McMaster, U.S. eager for regime change in Syria. Tillerson, Haley issue differing statements on future of Assad regime in Syria. That from the Washington Post. McConnell and Ryan flip-flop over use of force in Syria to deter chemical weapons. That from the Washington Post. Russian naval activity in Europe exceeds Cold War levels, according to a U.S. admiral. Another headline, Syria, U.S. warns Assad over using chemical weapons. Again, that from the UK Guardian. Wall Street Journal, U.S. strike in Syria raises tensions in Iran. Let's see. Oh, yes, let's scroll up, and here's a few more headlines. McMaster, Trump open to more military action in Syria, but seeks a political solution. Another headline on Trump foreign policy. NBC News, Trump's options for North Korea include placing nukes in South Korea and also killing Kim Jong-un. Trump fires warning shots. Trump plans centrist push. Let's see if there are any other good headlines. Here we go. Nikki Haley on Assad. U.S. believes regime change is, quote, going to happen. That from the Washington Examiner. And finally, Laura Ingraham to Trump. Stick with America first. Okay. So what does this tell us about Donald Trump's foreign policy? It tells me that Donald Trump's foreign policy is evolving and nobody can put Trump into a box. Does this sound familiar? Go back to the presidential campaign. Nobody could put Donald Trump into a nice little box where they could contain him. I think Donald Trump is somebody who maybe evolves with the different information that comes in. That's not necessarily a bad thing, by the way. For those who think that Rex Tillerson and Nikki Haley aren't on the same page, hey, maybe it's a little good cop, bad cop type of thing. We don't know. This is the difference between, and I think the media got used to, it wasn't just President Obama, but President Bush did this as well, where they would dictate, in a way, and President Obama did this far more than President Bush, but they would dictate what was going to happen. They would rule out boots on the ground. President Obama would give a red line. He would tell folks when a specific bombing was going to happen. He would say, hey, we're going to get out of Iraq on this date at this time. We're going to pull our troops out. The media is used to that little box, and in foreign policy fitting inside a nice tight box. It's not like that with President Trump. Does that mean it's chaos? Absolutely not. I think that with President Trump, I think he wants regime change in Syria, but he doesn't want to go full-fledged into Syria like we did in Iraq, like we did in other countries. What he wants to do, I believe, and again, I'm not inside the White House, but trying to, gather some pieces here and there. I think what Donald Trump is doing is saying, okay, we need to have regime change in Syria, but it needs to be, it needs to come to at least the best course would be to put political pressure on Assad to go, for him to lay down his weapons, for him to resign and leave. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But I don't think Trump wants to rush in. He wants to defeat ISIS because ISIS is the number one threat to the United States in that region. They are the number one threat to the United States and its allies. This goes along with his America First thing, and I saw a lot of comments on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, of people who are, the original Trump supporters who are very upset, and they're sitting around going, wait a minute, you said this was America First. Laura Ingraham says Trump needs to stick to America First, or else there's going to be some problems. America First doesn't mean America retreats from the world stage. Don't confuse the two. President Obama retreated from the world stage. He did not want American leadership on the world stage. If that's what you want, you don't want American influence and leadership over the world stage, then you probably liked Obama's foreign policy. There are also some libertarians, and this is why I've never considered myself a full-fledged libertarian, libertarians who believe in isolationism. They don't want to go and involve themselves in other foreign countries. For the most part, I agree with that, except for when the United States and its interests are threatened. And here's why Assad threatens the United States and its allies. It's because he's so crazy. He's a dictator. He's a man who gasses his own people, who uses chemical weapons against his own people. Those people are going to run to ISIS because ISIS is fighting Assad. They're going to join in with ISIS because ISIS has the guns, they've got the money, and who does ISIS hate even more than Assad? Yeah, the United States and its allies. So it's all tangled up, and I think far too many people thought that America First meant America First, and we're going to retreat from the world stage. No, and I don't support that that type of foreign policy. That's why I've never been able to get on board with the full libertarian movement, is because the United States doesn't need to retreat from the world stage. Don't get me wrong. I don't believe that we should involve ourselves in every single civil war and in every single conflict in the world. However, American leadership is good in this world. I truly believe that American leadership helps put a calming effect on the world. We pull back like we did during the Obama administration, and chaos seems to brew a little bit more. So I think I like what Trump is doing here. I think he's getting a lot of different answers and seeking a lot of different answers from a lot of different angles and a lot of different people. I don't believe there's a lot of chaos, but I do think there are people within the administration and out who have influence within the administration who are trying to, they're trying to move around. They're trying to have influence on Donald Trump. But don't forget this. Don't confuse America First with America isolationism, America First, and forget about the entire world. That's never what Donald Trump has said. He just says we're going to put the United States and its interest first. But that does mean that if you threaten U.S. interests, we're going to get involved. What do I think this means for the future of Syria and the United States? If I had to take a wild guess, I really do believe that Nikki Haley and Rex Tillerson are both correct. The United States wants regime change in Syria. Nikki Haley and Marco Rubio and others may believe that this needs to happen sooner or later. But I believe what we need to do first is focus on ISIS, focus on the terrorists in that nation, try and defeat as much as possible those elements, so that way when we go in and we get Assad out, it doesn't create a vacuum for terrorists to take over that nation. It's something that's going to be very difficult and something that's going to take a long time, but something that I think Trump wants to get right. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time. News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. You can follow me on Twitter, Chad Hasty Radio. Have a great day. We'll talk later.